Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, Carnivore, Carnivish, the cast of characters that we have here, lots of alter egos, parts of my personality, parts of your personality, and all the stuff that makes up a good day for us with our food plans. And sometimes we do extra work surrounding them. Sometimes something crops up and it captures us, and it's like, well, maybe it's just time to give a little look-see to this. And so that's what I'm bringing up here today. A lot of us, a lot of us know what it's like to eat too much. Sometimes when we get here, we continue with our non-keto carnivore carnivish food plan upon occasion. We call it a treat, a cheat, I don't care, a case of the efforts, a case of I'm going away, I'm going to do the best I can, and when I come back, I'm going to go back to my keto under 20 total carbs, never net, and I'm going to behave myself. And then, sometimes that turns into a train wreck. There are things that can happen because just because we think we can go out there and do things like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to come back and come back as strong. I've seen it in AA as well. Nothing is as strong as like the person's first sobriety, and then if they relapse and go out and drink or use drugs, when they come back, it's just the juju. It's not as easy. And so, the first time you attack your food program and get healthy and well is such a gift. And a lot of us have been able to hang with it. Now, I know that there are people here, myself included, that sometimes I've eaten more meat than I should, just because. But I don't stray from the keto carnivore way of eating, carnivish way of eating. It's pretty much weigh, measure, eat. Am I as strict with weighing as I used to be? Not really. I mean, like when I have a steak with a bone in it, I'm not getting technical and weighing it first, and then all the fat and bone that I don't eat, I weigh again so I can have that correct reading. I just try to go with it and go with my gut and feel, have I reached that full button yet? Um, the content button, the one where it's like, okay, to push away from the table and know that even if I feel like I'm 6 bites down, that I could still handle 6 bites, that I know in just a matter of moments, my full button will register. It's just something that once you start paying attention to it, you'll get, you'll, you'll probably get a grip on it. And it works for me anyway. But what happens when we are emotionally off? There's something that's happened there. And it's like, what is this? Why am I looking at these ads instead of fast forwarding through them? Why did I like have to stop myself from sticking a finger along the rim of something that's non-keto at somebody else's house? Why did I buy a product that is keto friendly, but, and I'm just going to say this here because it triggers me, chaffles. Okay. To me, that's a bite away from the real thing. I don't know. I know other people are doing them. They're loving them. They're ordering little waffle makers. They're, talking excitedly about them. But to me, I don't know. I don't like that idea. There's nothing about a waffle that doesn't seem to me my old way of eating. Maybe I'm different, but that was a choice that I would make when we'd go out. I'm sure that the ingredients that go into these people's chaffles are totally, keto or carnivore. They're fine. But then are you adding the sugar-free syrup with all the different ingredients in it? I don't know. I don't know what you're doing, but all I know is that there's something about it that feels a little triggering. Um, I know that when people talk about keto-fied desserts, I have to stop watching, listening. Even in the title of their video, it just pulls me away. it seems like we've got a second wave of this since, well, it didn't happen because I started keto. Keto was around probably for a couple of years, and then I jumped on and did it. But I learned early on that I am allergic to triggers. They kind of give, maybe this is how it is when somebody's trying to treat, excuse me, their porn addiction. The visual lasts forever up here, and you can step back from it and conjure up. I know I do it with things like a keto pizza or maybe a keto casserole, a main dish with meat, not sweetened kind of desserty sort of things. So I have to be very, very careful and mindful of it. That's why I don't include berries um, in my GRAS, as the government would say, generally regarded as safe list of things. I just, I can't do the sugar-free Jello without being triggered. To me, it harkens back to pre-Weight Watcher days for me when, I'd get the list from the doctor of, what I was able to eat. And of course, it would be sugar-free Jello, things like that. But to me, like just having that something after the main keto carnivore carnivish meal, it still says to my emotional brain, my imprint, excuse me, that, oh, it's dessert. Even if it is totally 100% legal, it messes with me. And so I have to be very, very careful of where I tread because, the horsemen that I sometimes talk about with stressed, sick, stressed, stressed, Schultz, stressed, sick, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I have to be very, very careful because those are the places that can trip my emotional need to eat. And once my emotions kick in, I become kind of a loose inside. I mean, nobody would ever know what's going on in the busy brain. Maybe some of you have that same thing. We look like perfectly normal people on the outside, but we go to a get together and we are just, romancing this, whatever it is over there on a plate, like, like it's an Adonis of some sort or something like that. I don't know. But, that's what my disease does. It begins to fantasize. It begins to come up with a brilliant idea. It comes down to me making lots of different promises about how tomorrow will be a whole new day and this won't affect me and I can just hop on, hop off. I've seen plenty of people do this. It's not something that I do. And if any of you are here and you watch me, you know that I'm pretty strict and structured, and it's all for a reason. I might have the best steak in the world, and that's because we still can, right? If the rug was pulled out from underneath us and we had, $75 to spend every week on food, it would be a different story. But right now, I'm able to buy decent meats and enjoy them. But if I start thinking about the tag along after the meal, after the entree, my disease will kick in. Maybe not that day, maybe not that night, maybe not the next week, but then comes a weekend and I'm just a little off. I haven't been super paying attention to what I'm eating, although my goal for a lot of us here is to not pay a lot of attention to it. You get used to your list of foods that you have, that you eat, and it's not 3,000 items long. You're using less spices, you're having less supplements, you're not having diet sodas. You're just having a very nice, structured food plan with a rotation, right? You have that rotation of nice foods. And so the things that seem kind of tempting go by the wayside. You're not buying them, you're not bringing them in the house, you're not putting it onto the other person that lives there. Oh, I thought you might like this. Oh, really? So, you know what I'm talking about. My Ms. Slick is pretty darn crafty, and she will manipulate situations. I've seen people in videos, they look exactly like the person that they are. Of course they do, because they're doing the video. But it's like their addict, hip checked the healthy one, the one that does the keto carnivore carnivish in a good way, hip checked them off the seat, and they're sitting there and they're just becoming this alter ego, this very crafty person about what they've had. And you begin to hear, it's okay, excuses, reasoning it out, that it's okay. I've maintained the same weight for a while, so I can do this. And it starts getting, I don't know, kind of squirmy-ish to me. And so I get that fear. And so it's kind of like we have this sand castle contest here on the Cape in the summer. The work is beautiful. And I don't know, they must come from all over. They must travel and do sandcastle contests because they're definitely artists. And then after a while, the sandcastle seems to crumble a little bit, and they're usually under some sort of canvas housing sort of thing. And after a while, the wind and the elements kind of break it down. It's not like a marble statue that you would see in Washington D.C., for example. And so it just starts to go away, and that's kind of what it feels like when somebody introduces things into their food plan that aren't the way that they used to eat, but they still quantify as like legal in our keto, carnivore, carnivish community. But it kind of scares me because it's like there are people that I look to as towers, and towers of virtue and devotion to their program, and then suddenly there's a little and rationalization for things. So I have to be careful. Now that's me. That's personally me. I get scared because I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm a seriously recovering food addict. And if I start seeing an addict's logic, suddenly it's going to become a little bit more real to me. And I don't want it to become real, It's like when people in AA talk about going to bars and they'll have their soda water with a lemon in a wine glass. And, to me, it's like, well, I don't want to be in the bar room, and I don't want the wine glass, and I don't want the beverage in it looking like, a vodka and soda with lemon or something like that. So I have to be very careful because I know my places. Do you know your places with emotional eating? Is it something that if you didn't have something that you've recently allowed into your food plan, would you realize that, oh, I guess maybe there's a part of me that's a little too attached to this item, and for my emotional well-being that is intact, I hope, I'm going to have to give that up. I'm going to have to get that out of the house. I can't really have that. Things that fall into like the chaffle with the diet syrups, the low carb wraps that, so that's to me it's like that Weight Watchers mentality of having like 26 points that you can spend any way you want. If you have your 20 total carbs, or some people have 75 net carbs. I don't know. I mean, I've heard all different kinds of experts say how many carbs is enough. And then they start fitting into the carbs, or maybe they don't even count the carbs. Maybe they just, have been having the same thing over and over again and not realizing that there's a dependency building on that. I could be guilty of it with my coffees, if there's one place that like I need to be guilty. And then sometimes I have room in my caloric load for the day, which is usually 12 to 1400 calories. Suddenly I'm at like, 1024. And so I can put 2 slices of cheese on my eggs instead of 1 or none. So I'm still having to be aware of everything, even if it's keto carnivore friendly. And so I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I'm seeing things that get kind of, I don't know, disturbing to me, and it's hard for me to watch some of my favorites do their life because they're introducing things that feel a little bit like when I began keto and everybody was keto-fying and I was felt like the only strict one. So if any of you feel kind of the loose ends of that part, I'd love to hear from you. If any of you have maintained a structured and disciplined keto or carnivore or carnivish food plan without having the emotional part kick in fact, just having those foods removes a lot of the emotional layers of eating because you're not around it, and food becomes this wonderful fat adapting fuel. That's how I try to look at it. Anyway, it's just one of those curiosity factors that I have been thinking about. Is there anything that you tried recently and you've not had something like that in your life and you went, whoa, Nellie, there it goes, can't do it. Nope, sorry. That's why I'm not getting all excited about chaffles because they kind of seems like a slippery slope to me. And yeah, I just have to be very, very careful. So I'm just saying that from my heart. And if you are having it and it's not causing anything and you're losing weight and feeling great and no emotional parts that make you want to run to it, you're having it once a week, then now it's twice a week, and pretty soon you're at 3 times a week. And then, you know, if that's me, that's my addict. My addict can't just have something once and be happy. It becomes part of the rotation. So I have to be very, very careful. And I just wanted to share about my little thing inside of me. Have a wonderful day. My pickles, my snowflakes, my turtles, my no matter what club members, and yes, even Goldilocks. I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye for now.